Test, 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 test. Hi. Just trying to get the link back to where we're at. All right, we are back. I'll give some people some time to find a new link here. Sorry about that. I refreshed the link and it shut down the stream. So we're going to share a new one here. Okay, I'm just going to jump into it here. So what I was saying, we're getting closer to launch. We've worked on quite a bit since the last time we had an AMA. We're looking at a soft launch within the next couple of weeks and a more public launch coming up in the beginning of the year, so the new year. Things we've been working on. One big thing is we're doing a rebrand. We're just calling our company Glo and the project Glo, and we're referring to the stable coin as the Glo dollar. So you'll see the domain glodollar.org is going to be used. So if you go to that right now, they'll redirect to our current website. So you see that transition gradually over time. We think that's an important rebranding and kind of a more catchy and easier to digest type of brand in that sense. For the actual launch, the progress there, we've been working on the tech side of thing quite a bit. I would say 95% of the way there. We're working on just getting the few features set up and getting the bugs worked through. We'll get to a soft launch when we have the compliance, all the legal work done. We're trying to wrap up that this week, and hopefully into next week we'll actually test out real entities on the platform. The soft launch is basically some entities that we know. We'll work through the process, onboard, check to make sure everything's working, make sure the flow of funds is adequately working with our partner Prime Trust and doing all those things. So we're looking forward to getting that finished, and it's exciting to think about this actually being launched into the world and the Glo dollar actually living live in people's hands. So pretty exciting part of that. Some other things, we want to have exchange listings. We're working on the DeFi strategy. We want to make sure this is, launching a stablecoin is challenging. We need some volume. We need liquidity. The actual stability mechanism. People can redeem from us and mint from us for $1. The stability in the markets is based on the arbitrage between the redeeming and what trades in the markets. So the bigger the volume, the more liquidity, the tighter that spread between how traders actually make the arbitrage opportunity. But so we're pushing hard for that stuff. In the public launch world, we want to have exchanges on board and a DeFi set up in place. So that'll be kind of the individual retail layer in terms of being able to purchase Glo. I mentioned Prime Trust is our custodial infrastructure provider. We're working on the compliance there. With the FTX and some of the issues in the last couple of weeks around crypto, we're being really careful, making sure we're doing everything possible to be as compliant as possible and doing things the right way. So that's a really important aspect of what we're doing. We've said before, it's like we want to be the most trusted, transparent stablecoin in the market. And we want people to really feel that and understand that. So we're doing as much as possible to make sure we do that from day one. And we want to be really clear on if things take a little longer, fine, we're going to actually make sure we're covering our bases there and give the community and everybody the trust they need to want to actually put their money into a stablecoin like ours. Also, we're pushing hard to expand this audience. So I'm really happy to do things like this. I love seeing comments in the chat here. But every week we have this goal, 10% week over week growth. We want to grow the Twitter, LinkedIn follower. We want to build that audience and get people excited about what we're doing. It's really, we're generating a basic income for people in extreme poverty. This is a mission-focused, mission-driven project, and we're just leveraging blockchain, the crypto tools to accomplish this in a very scalable way. So this is something everybody could get excited about. We're using terms like the anti-poverty money, which is just using the money creates this passive philanthropy. It generates interest, goes to people in need. It's kind of a different way of thinking about how you give back to society and helping out kind of solve these big societal challenging problems. So it's going to be, we really want people to be evangelists for us, promote our work, and we love seeing a community build around it. So we really appreciate it. I'll kind of leave that as like the update. There's a lot of things going on, but I would love to have questions. I've scheduled an hour here, so feel free to put some questions in the chat. I hope people are still seeing this video with the technical difficulties at the beginning, but and if anything comes up and you watch this video afterwards, reach out to us. We love talking to people who are curious about the project, and we really want to engage and answer some questions. So if there's anything you're curious about, feel free to throw it in chat and we'll make this an open-ended conversation. So first question, this is a good one. We're having some conversations about it with the DeFi strategy. And we're looking at, how do cryptocurrencies launch? Stable coins are their own type of world, but DeFi exchanges, it's one of those places where anybody can actually list a token, and you want to provide liquidity around the trading pairs. So we're thinking of supporting early liquidity pools and putting into those type of trusted protocols the actual Glo trading pair. So we don't have a whole lot of details on how we're specifically going to do this yet, but it's more, we want to give enough volume and liquidity to where people can trust that they can actually trade it in these markets, with not a whole lot of slippage. And slippage is the term that gets used when the price deviates from the actual price you input or want to purchase it at. So we want to make sure there's some early liquidity in there. Some of these protocols have done really well, and they're really big, lots of volume. Like Uniswap is one of the largest trading protocols out there. So it's kind of, we'll want the community to help us with this, and it's a lot of, if there's a lot of interest in the DeFi space, we'd love to have that. But we'll try to help support that early on in terms of what we can do on our end to actually build out pools and put our coin in certain protocols that is trustworthy and also will be beneficial to the community. So, question about exchanges. Yeah, so conversations around CeFi, DeFi exchanges. So most conversations around CeFi, so like the centralized exchanges. DeFi, we've had a couple of good conversations with people like Balancer and stuff like that, but there's no listing process like a centralized exchange on the DeFi space. I would say we have some really good prospects. I think there's always a process around making sure one, the exchange is somebody we want to work with. We're going through an actual process and thinking about like, can we do some due diligence around the trustworthiness of an exchange? And we've thought about, okay, we should have a check. Do they have proof of reserves? Do they issue their own token, and is that token part of their balance sheet type of thing? Where are they located? The jurisdiction is important to kind of understand what kind of regulatory environment they're operating in. So yeah, and I think there's questions we can ask. We can do our own due diligence to make sure we're working with them, and that's a process around that. Exchanges they like our message, they like our mission. It's a catch-22 a little bit in terms of we don't have it trading out there. There's not a volume on DeFi yet, so the attractiveness to an exchange in terms of trading volume is unknown. But I hope some of these things can be resolved with a partnership that really benefits the exchange in terms of messaging, supporting a mission-driven type of project, and kind of help promoting each other in terms of the marketing side. So yeah, I think there's some good ones. I don't have anything to announce in terms of what exchanges we're going to actually launch with yet. Those are not complete, but when we do, I'm going to be happy to share. Yeah, so I think I'm pretty optimistic on that. There is there's launching with market making and all those things. There's some complexity, but we'll work through all those issues. Yeah, so the question around, I would say, so yeah, tell us about how the vision has changed over time and in response to what? Okay. I think this is alluding to, we had like a pivot a few months ago, thinking about a non-stable cryptocurrency that could use a seigniorage model, we called it. It was something we could actually manage the supply to a stable coin, much like the USDC and Tether setup. I think, the Terra Luna, the kind of trust in a coin that doesn't have, I guess, full reserves is tricky. Like, trust would need to be built over time. It's kind of a world where speculation can have a lot of influence. There's risk in terms of how speculators bet on your cryptocurrency. So we felt a stable coin, fully backed, fully transparent, something that people were like, okay, this is going to be worth $1 now. It's going to be worth $1 in the future. The company will let me know how much reserves are there. They'll be very transparent in how we actually show it. And they can actually see like, oh, it's redeemable at all times, those type of things. So yeah, it's basically, we thought that was a model that was much more doable. Plus, we thought the interest rate environment was something we should take advantage of as well. It's like interest rates were zero, or close to zero for so long, and then you move into a world where it's a normal environment for interest rates. And I believe that world is something that's on average is going to be the future. And we think, okay, at scale, a stable coin can generate a lot of interest income. This could be really, really impactful for the problem of extreme poverty. We have known about the work of Give Directly. They're doing some really amazing work with cash transfers. They have a basic income program. If we could expand a way to actually generate money for programs like that, we should do it. And this is a scalable way to do it. So I thought the stablecoin reserve backing model fit with that general mission, and also really kind of promoted this idea of like, hey, huge problem. What tool is best out there that lets us build a scalable mechanism for that type of giving? And we see the market for stablecoins has grown substantially and I anticipate growing more. So it's really exciting to think about how big this could be. Yeah, so a question around, so the FTX situation, of course. I think, the best way to think about FTX, the general crypto market, more skepticism. But what we're doing, our messaging, the purpose of why we want to exist is really well positioned in this skeptical conversations. So I really like us as a antidote to some of these things that have happened. there's always this kind of conversation around, okay, why crypto? Why, you know, why is this your implementation of what you're trying to do with the mission? I like to think of it as like, this is a scalable financial technology. Blockchain is very useful. It's, it's been a proven technology that's actually a scalable way to have consensus and settlement and all those things. So kind of leveraging that technology is the key thing there. So I don't think there's skepticism around blockchain as much. It's more about the speculative markets. Like, what is the value of Ether? What is the value of Bitcoin? What about a new exciting idea that everybody's going to buy in a short term and then it goes up really high? Can I make a short term profit? All those speculative things are kind of noise in what we actually want to accomplish. We want to make like killer apps of crypto. We want to, really useful things. And the stable coin isn't speculative. If it's built right, it's definitely a killer app of crypto. It's something people can actually use in daily life and all those things. So yeah, I think there's going to be a time period where the environment is a little more skepticism, but I think blockchain, that world, there's a lot of use, and I think the actual valuable tools that we build on it is going to be continue to persist, and I think we're going to do that really well. And just the mission stuff is added, like building a good stable coin, something that people really trust, is inherently useful. And then if people are excited about the mission and thinking about a new model of philanthropy, then that's, I think, a big way we can actually gain a lot of market share. So a couple other things. So the FTX situation, I think it's just, there's some positives. Exchanges are going to have to be more transparent. People will actually do their own due diligence more. They'll ask better questions to us. They'll be like, okay, what are you doing? These things, audits, all those things. We anticipate, I mentioned the exchange due diligence process for us. We want to do financial statement audits. We're going to do attestations in a real time sense. Making sure proof of reserves is really transparent, all those things. So that's kind of the good things. And I think the industry overall will strengthen because of situations like this. It hurts a lot when people have invested and trusted certain people, but at the same time makes everybody, work better, and hopefully the industry becomes stronger. Yeah, that's a great question though. Yeah, I think is this a question? So being transparent as possible as you are. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the whole trust thing, I bring up this word a lot. So it's whatever we can do to create more legitimacy, more trust. And we're thinking of it as, all the things on the stablecoin side, but as an organization too. We plan to, nonprofit organization, no incentive structure, just for us as a team to seek out risky positions or not take risk management serious, those type of things, because of some profit motive. So I think the actual nonprofit structure is really important for that aspect. There's also, thinking about the governance of the organization. We want a board, advisory board. There's a governance council in terms of how we manage a smart contract and minting. All those things are going to be really important and big aspects of how we organize and make sure it's not just a couple people making the decisions or pulling the levers. It goes through a process. I think that'll be really important. And there's a lot of organizational stuff I want to make really transparent and just have people really buy into what we're doing. And there's no reason as a nonprofit we can't be this transparent. Like, we're not going to take big risks with people putting money into our stable coin because we have no reason to. It's like the risk is just natural market risks. Like we'll pick out treasuries that are the most liquid and most safe, and then there's a fundamental good reason to be nonprofit in that sense. Okay, here's a question. What does Glo think about other UBI-ish crypto projects? So like WorldCoin. So I think it's it's all positive. I think we're trying to solve a major problem in the world. Basic income for people in extreme poverty is, if we can't solve it, I hope somebody else solves it as fast as possible. the idea is, every project I see, even if it's ambitious or sometimes controversial, I always try to have a positive light or like look at it through a positive lens because I know it's super challenging. And the point is like, yeah, I hope somebody figures this out. I think our model is probably the most doable. There's actually a market for the product we're making. Like it's very large. Like this can scale within the current market, very very impactful. Very like it scale to a very impactful level. But yeah, I think the ambitions of WorldCoin is yeah, it's fascinating to think about how they're going to do that. There's a lot of interesting engineering there. So yeah, and there's like good dollar. They're much more protocol based in a decentralized fashion. I think that's really interesting. But yeah, some of these things are pretty. It's a challenging space, and I think it's all really good. But yeah, and then Proof of Humanity, they've kind of done a really good job of the UBI token. Sometimes there's challenges with how it trades in the markets, but they really kind of put on the map like, hey, can we use crypto for good? And spearheaded, early ideas around, oh, well, blockchain crypto doesn't have to be something that is just for speculative reasons. We can actually build mechanisms that lead to something that's really positive. So that's great. So yeah, Greencoin, I'll have to look up more about Greencoin. I don't have anything specific to comment on Greencoin. The environmental coins specifically, I think that's, I think there's a lot of potential there as well. I think one thing with, we're passionate about the extreme poverty issue. I have economics background. I think it's a really interesting challenge and something that really kind of energizes me to work on. It's like there's plenty of wealth in the world, but how do we structure our societies to actually, create the mechanisms to get wealth? It doesn't have to be like redistributed. It's more like wealth creation processes or mechanisms that lead to sustainable forms of giving. And there's challenges around like getting money to people, actually how they use it and all those things. And that's why I like Give Directly, because they've proven out models that work. And I think it's really important that, early on, we trust organizations like that to make a big impact. So. Okay, here's just a question on challenges of a remote company and also the rewards. So challenges, it's interesting. So we've been doing this for a while now, so it's almost like an autopilot. Well, it always seems like, I think as a small organization, we're about 10 people now, and I think we do a really good job of the communication aspect, sharing ideas, openness there. But you always feel we do these quarterly offsites, and the things we bring up and talk about just in person is always really enlightening. So kind of being proactive on having those type of conversations in a remote setting would be very beneficial. I think we can take steps to do that. Just simple things like scheduling meetings and the time zone issues with remote companies are challenging, but it's not anything to keep you away from being remote. But yeah, it's more about building the culture of async work, communication, expectations, all those things. But I'm guessing challenges will grow as we get bigger. But I'm really happy we're kind of using GitLab's models. They've provided a lot of information around doing a remote company. So rewards too. It's really rewarding. I think working with people globally is both interesting, learn a lot about different people and how they work. It's good as a kind of global mission type of company to have that expansive stretch. But yeah, I think the rewards too, it's working remote, there's more flexibility. I think the actual like rewards of Zoom meetings, it's quicker to have a meeting. It's easier to set up, less time between meetings. All those things are really efficient forms of getting work done. So that's a big positive. And there's access to building communities, access to people who want to work on this. We're not geographically limited by who wants to apply and work on. basic income technology projects. So it's really exciting in that sense. All right. So question about, oh yeah. So like based on the other UBI project question. So together and get benefit. So yeah, sorry. Putting together different UBI projects, get benefits like aggregated liquidity. I'm not really sure what specifically you're referring to there. It'd be really tricky to aggregate liquidity for multiple coins. I'd have to think about what that actually means. But uh, yeah, I might not be well versed enough to understand the liquidity aggregation process. Um, but yeah, I'm curious about it. But yeah, I haven't thought about that. I don't think. Yeah, I'll ask the team if they want to, if they're interested in exploring some of those ideas. But yeah, we're open to a lot of things. I think this is why we have a community. We want people to add some ideas too. So yeah, your own AMA. Yeah, I'm curious to learn more about that. Oh yeah, so a question around like unexpected challenges, um, and a question on what's gone better than expected. Yeah, so I think some challenges. Well, these are challenges you focus on, like the compliance stuff, setting everything up the correct way in the regulatory space. All those things are challenges around launching a money type of product. I think um, the stablecoin market overall is a challenging space to compete in. Um, so putting together some type of strategy around that is a challenge, and I think launching soon and kind of testing early ideas is going to be a really a lot of learning from that process. So yeah, this is a marketing challenge in that sense, in getting us into these competitive markets where first mover advantages have already taken place. Um, Actually, the development, and this is our team. We have some great engineers. The development on the tech side, and I'm not like directly writing code, but I do think in my eyes, the partners we've worked with, the tech we're building, going through an audit process on the smart contract and those things, I expected a lot more friction, and I think it's just kind of proves that we're doing things in the right way, kind of best practices, and there hasn't been a whole lot of issues with building out the tech and making sure that's working. So that's gone better than expected. I also think just community aspect, like in this space of crypto, I'm really happy, and I love seeing like people get excited about what we're doing, and it's something we want to build. And we have this 10% week over week growth goal of our following, and it's hard marketing and stuff like that, but it's better than expected. You market something and people actually really connect with it, and we see people post about us without any like, oh, so we don't know this person, they must have just read about us somewhere, and they make a great post, and all those things are exciting to see. And yeah, I would expect that for a mission driven company, but when you're actually trying to like spread your word and get the idea out there, it's stuff that really motivates you. So yeah, that's kind of general answer on that question. Okay, so yeah, most challenging thing to deal with as a CEO. Okay, so early recruiting, coming like from an idea to building a team, that's inherently challenging. And Harmon Jasper joined. We're considered co-founders early on. That was a huge stepwise leap in terms of the organization, and it kind of creates momentum. but it is, you're trying to convince people like new idea, bring it into the world, join us on this adventure. You're creating a story about what the vision is, all those things. And it's we have the crypto angle, mission driven space, kind of blending that into the people who want to be part of that type of movement. But it was challenging in the recruiting side, but it's not something that was a bad challenge. That's the fun part of it, building the organization. So yeah, that's interesting. And I don't think today with the small team, it's a lot about just working through the steps to launch a stable coin and kind of high level keeping track that everything is on task, moving the way you want it to move, and it's all in compliance. We're making sure it's done well. Like fundamentally, we're building a financial institution, so we have to make sure everything is really there's no sloppiness in terms of the work we're doing, and making sure that's really clear with everybody. So it's really important to kind of just maintain a higher level view, and it's a challenge to make sure everything's working well when you're building something new and trying to enter a space. Yeah, so like up at night, I would say, if I'm going to single out one thing, like what keeps me up at night, it's really, I go back to this trust word. What can we do to build the most trust? Are we missing anything that potentially could lead to less trust in the future or something even worse? So it's more just a habit of making sure we're doing the things right and early on, like from day one. But that's just, I think it's a mindset, it's a process. And I think if we build that early on, it's going to be a very useful thing for us. Yeah, question around core team. Other than developers, do they have previous experience with crypto? How deep it goes? So me personally, I was in academia. I taught blockchain courses. So I had kind of a academic understanding of the space, did some investing in my own, all those things. With the team, I think there's non-engineering. So Chief Marketing Officer Jasper has done crypto in the past. Cardano Space is the project he built along with Harm. So there's definitely some domain expertise in terms of non-engineering people with crypto. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anybody's specific crypto experience. No, it's the balance between like, oh, I'm interested in crypto, or like I built stuff in crypto, and then it's still a new enough industry to where just a little bit of crypto expertise goes a long way. Yeah, and then connections to take this further. Yeah, I think you're just asking like around this crypto expertise. Yeah, we do. There's a lot of connections. We work with a lot of people. Part of my job is finding expertise that's going to help this company succeed, help the idea succeed. So yeah, we're working with a lot of people that have a really long time. Oh yeah, our director of partnerships has been in crypto for a long time. Alex, he's built some tools around and he's doing a really good job with that. All right, so I think so the connections we definitely do. We're working with a lot of people in the industry, and that's the thing with general blockchain crypto industry. Everybody's pretty welcoming in terms of if we're trying to solve a big problem, working on something hard, people are willing to help. So, and you asked the question, what do we need help with? There's a lot of things. I think marketing side, we want to spread the word. We want to get this idea out into the world, not just in the crypto space. We want people everywhere to understand like a form of money that is anti-poverty, that can generate basic income for people in extreme poverty. You don't actually have to donate. You just use a different form of money. That's a really strong message, I think. But yeah, and on the more crypto side, it's exchanges, partners that want to help give people access to our stablecoin. So payment companies, companies that maybe issue credit cards and they use crypto on the back end, those type of things. So like anything that's going to help us get access to customers is a really important aspect of what we want to do. Yeah. So question: how do you see the Glo dollar evolving with up and coming CBDCs? So central bank digital currencies. That's an interesting question. I would say stablecoins have definitely sped up interest in CBDCs. I think people are realizing, okay, the crypto, the usefulness of stable value transfer in this space is pretty important. I don't know if I have a really strong opinion on this. I think it's going to be a world where there's possibly multiple versions of stable coins and then CBDCs. I don't think there's going to be a world where CBDCs come about. The U.S. launches a CBDC and they say no stable coins can exist. I don't think that would be the anticipation here, and I could be totally wrong too. But I think there's, so CBDC is central bank digital currency. So it's basically a government issued currency. It's like the dollar just digitized into a digital currency. Digitized into digital currency. Less like USD coin. So USDC is a stable coin issued by a private company called Circle. We're doing a similar model to them. This would be like the Federal Reserve of the United States issuing a digital currency. And I refrain from saying a stable coin or a cryptocurrency. It doesn't have to be a cryptocurrency, but a lot of CBDC research is thinking about using blockchain and crypto infrastructure. And then some other just using traditional database type infrastructure. But generally, there's this idea too, there's already competition for stablecoins out there. It's nothing I worry about in terms of whether we're going to be successful or not. It's more, it's a different type of option people can use. So there's nothing stopping somebody from, if a digital version of the dollar came out, a CBDC version, that could also be probably deposited into the Glo stablecoin. So it's basically, we'll see how it works over time, but I don't expect anything dramatic to happen over the next couple of years. Yeah, there's some mentions around, processing, how fast. I think there's innovations around ACH processing, some of those things in the United States. But it's probably going to be a hybrid version of different ideas coming about. Okay, question. This is on the reserve. So as a fully backed stablecoin, we're going to have a fiat reserve. And right now, interest rates, they're a lot higher than they used to be. Question is what if T-bills go to zero? Well, fundamentally, our Glo reserve, the interest income from it, is for donations. So if T-bills go to zero, our ability to donate to basic income programs for the extreme poverty alleviation mission would be limited. We want to exist operationally as much as possible, not tied to the reserve. So it's one of those, obviously the mission, we can't control interest rates, but if it goes to zero, the default answer here is just, we won't be able to donate any money to give directly. And the follow-up question, that doesn't mean governments collapses. The interest rate environment, I tend to think of it as a long-term kind of viewpoint of the ability of our company to succeed in its mission. there's normal interest rate environments. There's different levels of duration and how much interest is earned. There'll always be a world where we can earn money on treasury bills. It's the amount or the ability to have as much impact as we want in this extreme poverty mission. But yeah, we can't control it, but we can just prepare as an organization to make sure we have the support to continue to operate. And yeah, the last 10 to 15 years since the financial crisis, I think really got people used to a world of very low interest rates. Historically, that hasn't been the case. So over the long run, I think we'll see something that this model is super impactful, even if interest rates go down somewhat. So yeah, and interest rates could go up a lot still too. So it's I don't know. Yeah, I think we can control the things we can control, and we can build a mechanism that will still be super impactful even at low interest rates. So another Glo Reserve type question: plans to diversify the model of basic income distribution besides T bonds, T bills. Okay, uh, no plans right now. So the plan is liquid, super safe T bills, and when I say T bill, that's any type of treasury. Well, the duration is under a year. The duration of a T bill is 1 year or less. T bonds is higher than 1 year. Now, the liquidity aspect of it is important. So we want to make sure we have the ability to redeem and have the liquid funds. So we don't want to get into a place where we're investing in assets that aren't liquid, that maybe have a longer duration, higher interest rate. They could potentially go down in value, because the longer the duration, the ability of the potential for the value of the actual asset could change more so than a short duration type of an asset. So yeah, I'm gonna just the answer is no other plans other than T bills right now. There is a world where, as market cap grows, as the volume of the stablecoin, how much is traded, basically the market depth of the stablecoin, as that grows and becomes more predictable, stronger, you can actually expand duration and invest the treasury in different ways. But yeah, think of it as we're going to be very conservative on that and make sure it's liquid and highly trusted. Okay, question around the refi initiative. Yeah, so kind of the climate change focus. Uh, you know, straightforward answer with that. We're focused on extreme poverty. Um, we want to support things that are doing good in the world. So it's not like we don't care about climate change issue and anything else that the refi initiatives are working on. But yeah, I think we have a big challenge. It's a huge global problem still. UN Development Goal number 1 is poverty. So we'll focus on that. There's been talk in the past around using blockchains that are climate friendly. Yeah, we're definitely doing that. It's Ethereum has migrated to a proof of stake world, so that kind of solved a lot of those issues. But yeah, it's I think a lot of those projects around climate change, especially in the blockchain world, are interesting. It's just, we can't focus on everything, but I think extreme poverty is big enough, and it really kind of, thinking of like a financial tool that generates income, a financial mechanism. I think it fits really well with what we're trying to do as a mission. Oh, okay, so question around what does extreme poverty mean to me? Well, the definition is under $2.15 a day. It was raised. So a person who earns $215 a day or less is in extreme poverty. Now, uh, what does it mean to me? Kind of like more generally. Well, it's a huge problem in the world. I think I look at how much wealth has been created, capitalism as a system of distributing wealth and allocating resources. I think there's some structural problems around, you know, different economic institutions throughout the world, and it's kind of, you'd hope we could build a system where, $2.15 a day is very, very low compared to how other people live throughout the world. So yeah, it's kind of the best way to describe it. Extreme poverty it should be like in our face more. People should be thinking about like, how do we get people up to a place where they can have a rewarding, successful life, really productive. It's kind of like, let's get people to a baseline. And it's hard to say, like, there's so many things that lead to poverty, but yeah, just like systems that lead to growth. And with the Give Directly model and some of the research they've done, I think it's interesting to see like the longer term effects. You give people money, they decide how they best use it, what do they invest in, and if it's sustainable, they can count on it, build assets, all those things. So yeah, I find it kind of frustrating that extreme poverty exists in the world, and with all the wealth we have, hopefully with technology, the tools we're building, we can actually make a huge dent in it. And there's a lot of things we can't control, but if these mechanisms do work at scale, I think people will see like, okay, yeah, this is something that isn't reliant on one or two donors to fund. It's a passive mechanism that just using this tool leads to a sustainable income stream. So yeah, it's a challenging issue, but I think it's one that's definitely worth working on for sure. All right, we are hitting 11 here. Any last questions? Yeah, I apologize again with the mic at the beginning, just the link change, but I think I just needed to reset everything. Something crashed on the back end, but yeah, I appreciate all the questions. Yeah, and if you see this video afterwards and are curious about more things we're working on, please reach out. We have the Discord, we have our Twitter, LinkedIn page, all those things. And yeah, I really encourage people, share our website, share our ideas. We want to get feedback. We want people to understand what we're trying to do. We're not asking people to donate money, and it's like we're asking people to think about a new form of money that if they use it, it's going to have a huge impact. So I think that's a fun conversation to have with people, make them think about, oh, probably they never thought about the money they used. It's always been a default. So I hope we can start to create that conversation. Of course. I appreciate you being here. All right. I'll see everybody next time. Thanks so much.